I think Bruce Hornsby probably moves me as much as anyone I've ever heard. And I think that part of the reason I Can't Make You Love Me is so deep is because of his interpretation of the piano playing.
You know, it's just a great song. Mike Reed wrote a great song, so it's hard to screw that up. And so we just try to take it to a little different place. She has a great sense of fun on the gig. Lots of smiling, lots of laughing, and that's the way we like it in our band. And so she's right in there with us on that. Makes it a good mix.
I'd like to bring out Bryan Adams.
Well, the song was written by myself and Gretchen Peters, and we wrote it for Bonnie. And it's one of the few songs I've written where I was thinking about somebody else while we were writing it.
You know, when people say, who have you always wanted to sing with, he's just like right up there on the top of the list. Somebody that epitomizes that journeyman kind of rock and roll. Because I just think he stayed so true to his artistic vision, and there's just no bull about him.
She's a singer that you don't have to tell someone how to sing, because she's got that deep rhythm and blues thing in it, and it just comes out naturally.
You know, I never thought I would see Kim Wilson and Bryan Adams standing there singing a song by John Prine, and it was really just one of those things we whipped up in the dressing room and never got to perform out loud. I mean, they did the harmonies like Christmas carols upstairs.
Just give me one thing that I can hold on to.
She's always putting people together. It's very infectious. It's really inspiring.
Well, I've been wanting to do a live record for a long time, and I think where I'm the absolute most comfortable is on stage.
Simultaneous to working with Bonnie, I've been working with the Rolling Stones on a live album, which actually, having never done a live record before, it was great rehearsal for Bonnie's record.
And with Don, now it's really seamless now. I think it's not as much of a difference between the live show and the records.
She's got a wonderful band. It's the best I've ever heard live show sound.
Well, I grew up in Southern California where there was a blues scene, but I was too young to get into it. And I grew up loving folk music when I was in my early, 8 or 9 years old. I taught myself to play the guitar, and I loved Joan Baez and Pete Seeger and Peter, Paul and Mary, and Bob Dylan changed my life and everybody else's that I knew. As well as loving soul music on the radio and the Beatles and pop music of the day. My love for folk music led me into these records from the Newport Folk Festival, which had blues artists on them. And the first record I heard that had John Lee Hooker and John Hammond and Brownie McGhee and Sonny Terry, and that was it. So I just sat there and burned my little fingers to the ground trying to figure out what they were doing, because I hadn't taken any guitar lessons, and I literally taught myself to play bottleneck, never having seen anybody do it. I'd like to bring Jackson Browne up next.
Opening Farewell is a song that I did on my first record, and it was probably a song that I was singing the first time I met Bonnie.
And over the years, we're just like brothers and sisters. I'd say we're as close to soulmates among the musician families you're going to get.
She's sung on my records, and she's sung my songs. And I have never really been recruited to sing on her records, so it's a real thrill for me. Meeting Bonnie for the first time was really, it's really memorable, because she was like 2 parts Laura Fanani and 1 part Mae West.
It's so rare to really have a person in the music business that still has the innocence and is still basically just a real person. It's just so hard to find.
Kim Wilson is, in my opinion, the greatest white blues singer alive today, and a great harmonica player.
I'm a big fan of hers musically, and she really brings the best out in me. You know, she brings another side of my personality out.
I've been singing this song of his, I Believe I'm in Love with You, with him and with my own band for the last, ever since they recorded it in the mid-'80s.
She makes me happy, you know. She makes me happy being out there with her, and plus she makes me feel like I'm somebody, you know.
It's a Rhythm and Blues Foundation, which was started about 5 years ago to attempt to get the music industry and other artists like myself to donate money to rectify something that none of us knew was a really big injustice, which is that most of the artists that started out playing our kind of music, there was the roots of rock and roll and soul music as we know it, never got paid any royalties. So people in the 40s, in the 50s and 60s that I grew up adoring only got paid for the afternoon that they recorded.
I've been on tour all this summer with two of my absolute heroes. Started it all, I call them the Adam and Eve of rhythm and blues. The jewels in our crown up here tonight. The magnificent Ruth Brown. And the one and only Charles Brown. And the Sunnybird, Kim Wilson.
Ruth Brown was one of my heroes and always loved her records from the 50s, and she's, of course, the woman that they say, the Atlantic Records is the house that Ruth built.
A couple of us old people can still go out there and get a few standing ovations, you know, like I lovingly say, we old, but we ain't cold, you see. And we're still qualified to go out and tell it like it really is.
Nobody else seemed to realize it, but she did realize it. And a lot of people that you really helped years ago who made it today, they never thought about it. Bonnie Raitt wasn't even born when we were main stars. I think it's wonderful. So that's why we're doing our best, because it's the evening of your career.
So it's just been an unbelievable time to be able to have this spiritual grandparents of mine on the road with me. It's like a human voice, you know. Slide has a certain vibrato, and it's really because there's no frets. It's more like playing the fiddle or some kind of fretless instrument. It's very evocative of your own feelings, and you put your own spin on it, and depending on what kind of a song I'm playing it on, I'm hoping that it'll fit. I never practice. I just play on the road, and it's more like just a second voice to me. I've been doing it for so long now that it's just, I can't even imagine not playing it on a song. You know what? The rehearsal was really very touching for me because to get to sing, that this dream actually coming to fruition and get on the stage in one night and actually get to sing I Can't Make You Love Me again with Bruce, who I hadn't seen since last year's tour, and to try out this new version of Opening Farewell with Jackson singing harmony on his own song for the first time. And then Kim and I, you know, you can tell by the way we laugh that the feeling, it's obvious how we feel for each other. And I think Brian had a good time too. Well, I've been wanting to do a live record for a long time, and a lot of my fans have been waiting for me to put one of the shows on record, because a lot of people have thought over the years that really the live shows captured the spirit of what I do better than what's been able to be done in the studio. And I think I waited because I wanted to make sure that the musicians that I was playing with were playing everything the way I heard it. And while I've had great bands over the years, this one is particularly well suited to the range of material that I've done across the 25 years. And it just seemed like the right time, and I'm really happy with my record company, and that hasn't always been the case. So this was a kind of the right moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, won't you please welcome to the stage Bonnie Raitt and her band.